Allah's secret, the creature's inability to fathom the reality of destiny. The Shaykh said in the Sirat, know that what we have mentioned about the issue of the qadar is not delving into the issue in the inappropriate way that the Prophet forbade, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he said, إِذَا ذُكِرَ الْقَدَرُ فَأَمْسِكُوا. If destiny is mentioned, then hold back, as narrated by At-Tabarani. Because this is the explanation of the qadar with which the religious text came. Yani, he's saying this is not delving into destiny in some forbidden way. This is just explaining the texts that came in the religion. As for what is prohibited, that is delving to reach its secret, attempting to understand or arrive at the secret of destiny. Ash-Shafi'i and Ibn Asakir narrated from the route of Ali that he said to the one who was asking about the qadar, it is the secret of Allah. Do not delve into it. But the man insisted. Ali said to him, if you insist, then know that certainly it is a matter between two matters, not compulsion and not free will. So here, this is what you cannot conceive. It's neither compulsion nor free will. You're not forced to do what you do, so you have a will. And your will is not independent of the will of Allah, and whatever Allah willed to be shall be, and so you shall do what was willed for you. This is what the human being cannot gather. How come then, if the human being cannot put those together, how come we accept that? Because both of those have evidence that there's no compulsion and is not a unrestricted free will. They both have evidence, so we go by both of those and we stop there. Allah is the one who knows the secret of that matter. So what's the evidence that you are not compelled to act? You witness that from yourself. You see from yourself the difference between the beating of your heart and the movement of your hand. Had you been forced, then the movement of your hand would be like the beating of your heart. It is not, though. You see the difference between these two, although both are from your body. One is in your created control, and one is outside of your control. You have no control over it. Your heart ticks in your chest. There's nothing you can do about it. You have no will over it. And how do we know that it's not a free will that's independent of the will of Allah? Because Allah is the creator of everything. Nothing exists without being a creation of His. No event or occurrence exists without being a creation of His. So that's also a definitive evidence. There's definitive evidence that we act by a choice because we witness the difference between the beating of our hearts and the movement of our hands, although they're both from our bodies. So that's definitive evidence that there is no compulsion in these voluntary deeds. And it's not a complete free will because there's also definitive evidence that Allah is the creator of everything with no exception. So we accept both of those. We accept that it's not compulsion and we accept that it's not free will. A will free of the will of Allah, that is. So that's the secret of Allah that the slave cannot fathom. Is that clear? I think it's clear. At-Tahawi said, فَوَيْلٌ لِمَنْ صَارَ لِلَّهِ تَعَالَى فِي الْقَدَرِ خَصِيمًا وأحضر للنظر فيه قلبا ثقيما لقد التمس بوهمه في فحص الغيب سرا كتيما وعاد بما قال فيه أفاكا أثيما. Woe to the one who becomes a disputer of the qadar and summons a corrupt heart to consider it. He summons a corrupt heart to fathom the reality of this qadar. For he, by investigating the world of the unseen with his delusions, has sought a concealed secret and has become a sinful liar by what he said. So that's why this chapter here, or this section says the secret of Allah, because that's what Imam Ali called it, and that's what Imam al-Tahawi called it. Sirrullah, the secret of Allah. The reality of the qadar has been blocked from us. When a person disputes about it and wants to investigate and follow his delusions, this shows that his heart is corrupt and diseased. This statement of al-Tahawi is an explicit dispraise of the Mu'tazilah, who claim that matters take place different from what Allah willed. They claimed that Allah willed for the blasphemers to believe, but it did not happen. The Qadariyah arrived at their belief based on their own opinion, which contains renouncement of the Qadar, and that is how they resemble the Majus. To refer to someone as a disputer of the Qadar of Allah is a dispraise. The person who claims that he knows the reality of the Qadar is a blasphemer. If you have any question that I can answer for you, I'll be glad to.